Hey, it's me, GV, and ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you that I have done it. I have finally watched none other than Jujutsu Kaisen after hearing so much about this show from in real life friends, from online friends, from people online in general, Twitter and whatever else, the internet at large. I've heard so much about this show, and I finally sat down and watched it along with my girlfriend, and I'm here to tell you my initial impressions, what I think of the overall show, whether or not I think you should give it a shot if you have yet to check out Jujutsu Kaisen. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So for the uninitiated, I guess Jujutsu Kaisen could be classified as a battle shonen. I think that's the correct term. I am by no means a massive anime fan or consumer, although I will go out of my way to watch some stuff that I hear through the grapevine, especially being super good. I've watched a lot of the classics, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Cowboy Bebop, Death Note, etc. And I would say Hunter x Hunter is probably my favorite anime of all time. That's kind of a cut below, I guess, the very popular ones like Death Note. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I go out of my way to watch anime all the time, but every now and then I hear something about a show like this, and I'm like, okay, it sounds like it's going to be next level. So yeah, it's a battle shonen, which shonen I think is Japanese for boy, which is just a type of anime which translates to, something with the target demographic being the younger audience, stuff like what I grew up with, stuff like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, that sort of thing. And it's a battle shonen, something like, I guess you would say, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, something where, you have a cast of characters and there's some sort of power situation going on in the world, something that lends these characters some sort of power. Like in Hunter x Hunter, it's Nen, if I remember correctly. And they can sort of channel stuff and do different things. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it starts as Hamon? Is that what it was called? But then it turns into stands later on, which is way cooler of a concept. And yeah, in Jujutsu Kaisen, it is curses. So it's that sort of kind of Japanese mythology, or whatever you want to call it, where there's all of these kind of demons or curses or spirits. I guess those things are different because I've played a lot of stuff like Neo and things like that, where there are specifically like demons like Onis, but then there's also things called yokais, and then there's also things, like sort of spirits, right? So I'm not sure if those things are congruent or whatever, me being an American and not knowing the intricacies of that type of Japanese lore. But in this show, it is these spirits, or I think they're just all called curses, that the curses themselves usually have powers, but then also there's curse users, and also there is, I guess, just cursed objects. There's like 4 different types of cursed situations going on, but that's kind of the source of the power, is these curses that exist in real life Japan. And the premise of the show is our main character, Itadori. He basically consumes the cursed finger of Sukuna, who is like the king of curses. In order to get out of a situation, and then now he is the vessel of Sukuna and can use his powers, but also Sukuna is kind of like within him, and you don't want to let him out because he's a terrible, evil entity. But also it grants Itadori, I guess, certain powers. I'm not really, they explain it at the beginning, but like a lot of these Jujutsu sorcerers have latent natural ability, and Itadori just seems like a prodigy pretty much. So I'm not sure exactly how much of Sukuna's power he's using versus how much of his own Jujutsu power he's using, but obviously he's got a unique situation consuming the finger of Sukuna, and now they basically want to use him to hunt down the rest of the fingers of Sukuna. I think he's got like 4 arms or something like that, so there's like a whole bunch of fingers that they want him to consume. So I guess they could just eradicate Sukuna completely, because he's the king of curses, and that's not good for the world. And so yeah, battles ensue. There's some sort of plot going on in the background with these cursed spirits, I think is what they're called, but cursed spirits will also use curse users, which from what I understand are just humans that are using curses. But then you have Jujutsu sorcerers who are kind of the good guys, but they also can be bad. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, all these people and things kind of fight each other using these cursed powers and different elements of the curse sort of element. I just used element twice, but you know what I mean. They use different parts of the curse mythology in order to battle each other. So as far as our characters, we've got the trio, kind of like Naruto. I think there's been a lot of comparisons to Naruto with this show, as far as I've seen in a little bit of looking online as to what people think about this show. But yeah, you got Yuji Itadori, who I really like as a protagonist. It is rare that I will really like a protagonist in a Japanese kind of battle shonen or shonen anime, because I find them a lot of the time really kind of annoying, kind of like Naruto in the original run of Naruto. But Yuji Itadori has a cool persona. He is just basically, he never gives up, and he's really positive, and you know, he's kind of a direct confrontation to Sukuna's powers. Like, Sukuna doesn't really know what to do because this guy is not your typical malleable, sort of pliable character that Sukuna can use to manipulate, although he obviously does at certain points and tries to. But yeah, Yuji Itadori is a fun protagonist to have, kind of a little airheaded at times, I would say, but you know, that adds to his character a bit. Then you have Megumi Fushiguro, which originally I was like, okay, so this is going to be, you know, the Sasuke from Naruto situation, because he's kind of gloomy and not really edgy, but he looks similar with the dark hair and everything. But no, yeah, Fushiguro actually does some really interesting stuff, and his character is a lot more palatable than something like Sasuke Uchiha, at least in the, I've only seen the original Naruto, you know, with the overt edge and whatever, the standoffishness. Yeah, I really like Fushiguro. In fact, I recently wrote in my Discord that he was my favorite character, although I would have to think there's a lot of really fun characters like Nanami, the guy whose power is that he can put a ratio on somebody and then find the perfect spot to hit for like a critical hit, which is really interesting. And then you've got Nobara Kugasaki, who is the girl of the group, which originally, the way she's presented, I was like, okay, she's gonna kind of be like the Sakura, who's kind of just really annoying a lot of the time. But no, she's a little more interesting. I don't want to spoil where she goes in season 1, but she's got a little more interesting elements to her than the original Naruto trio, which I know people probably don't like the comparisons between Naruto and Jujutsu Kaisen, but obviously there are going to be some. So yeah, this trio here is really interesting. They have interesting powers, and they have very interesting elements of their personalities that you would not think would come out, but when tested, they go through some transformations, both physical and emotional.
It's incomplete, and it's ugly work at best.
I'll spare you describing the rest of the characters because if you're going to watch this show, you know, I don't want to spoil every single one. There's your typical wide variety of all sorts of different jujutsu sorcerers and sorceresses that have all sorts of different powers. I will say the last one is Gojo, who's kind of the teacher. I kept hearing about Gojo constantly. The way that I heard it was like, okay, so it's Sukuna and Gojo seem to be the main characters, hearing all of this from the grapevine. But no, Gojo is kind of like the teacher, kind of like your from Naruto, the guy with the K, Kakashi sort of figure, although different personality. And Sukuna is obviously, you know, the kind of an antagonist. I'm really curious as to where that goes because I've only seen through season 1 and the movie. But Gojo, I'm sure, because I don't know how people feel about him, but I kept hearing his name over and over and over again, and I just assume he is probably probably like a lot of people's fan favorite character. He's kind of presented as God. This guy, like, I was watching with my girlfriend, I was like, how is this guy gonna be, like, how is his power gonna be kept contained? Because he's kind of insanely overpowered, like, right from the jump. And I'm really curious if they're gonna temper that, or at least have the enemies kind of outscale that, you know, to kind of balance it out. But Gojo's really interesting. He's not my favorite character. I could totally see why he would probably be a lot of people's favorite character. But he's got a ton of interesting stuff about him, and his personality is very like bubbly and kind of quirky and funny all the time, in addition to his insane power. So it's a recipe to be a very memorable character. So I wanted to talk about the best parts of this show, Jujutsu Kaisen. Obviously starting with the animation. I don't really know how people feel about this show. I've done a little bit of research, but you know, I've tried to go into it blind because I wanted to experience it without knowing much about it. So I would imagine most people are probably really they receive the animation very well because it seems extremely well done. I personally prefer kind of the very colorful, interesting style of something like Demon Slayer, which I like a lot. But you can't deny this show has extremely good animation. I mean, it was interesting because we also watched the movie Jujutsu Kaisen 0, I believe it's called, and the quality was pretty close. Usually with like anime movies, they kind of jump up. I don't know what the frame rate or the animation quality because it's, you know, a bigger situation. But they were pretty close because as I read from some comment somewhere, it was like they already have really good animation base show. So to like try to up that for the movie, I think would be really hard to do. And yeah, I could totally see that because there's some beautiful, beautiful animation in this show. And I would say that's probably one of the best components of it. Also, there's some really, really cool abilities in this show. It's kind of set up like a lot of battle shonens like I've seen where, you know, every new character has some crazy weird thing that they do, 1,500 abilities that they have to shout out. There's multiple times they reference the fact that if they say what their ability does or what it's called, it powers it up. And I was wondering, like, is that supposed to be a reference to, you know, breaking the fourth wall, to like how anime characters always shout their moves out? I don't know, or I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke or if that's actually how it works. It seems like that's actually how it works in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, but I am not sure if that's also a joke. But yeah, you know, you have tons of characters that are introduced that have all sorts of cool abilities that just look really flashy when they use them with the beautiful animation. That's another element that I really like. I feel like the quality of the show gets better and better as you go through season 1, which has around 20 something episodes. Originally, my girlfriend and I were like, why is this so beloved? Like, it seems it's good, it's quality, but it also seems pretty standard. Nothing like super stand out-ish about it. But then I feel like as it goes along, it kind of builds momentum and interesting things. I feel like the very end kind of loses a little bit of that momentum, but it, you know, it's fine because they're just focusing on a different situation. But yeah, I just really kind of gotten raptured as I was watching through season 1, more so than I thought. You know, when we were early in season 1, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna enjoy this because, you know, I'm an old man now, and, you know, it's a battle shonen aimed for a lower demographic, although maybe not so much in this day and age, considering how popular anime is. I don't really know, but yeah, I really have to say it gets better and better and better as season 1 goes on, I feel like. And the last thing I really like about it is that there's sort of a background plot that also keeps gaining momentum and interest, with these cursed spirits. And I don't want to give too much away there, but you kind of got this gaggle of enemies that are quite interesting and have a different dynamic than you would normally think with a group of, malicious enemies, and that sort of is building to something that I'm sure will be quite interesting once we get around to season 2, and then after that when season 3 comes out, because season 3 is not out at the time of this video, I don't think. Now, by far, my least favorite component of this anime is it doesn't seem to work for a lot of the big moments. It's very fast-paced. There's a lot of big, power reveals and big, crazy things that happen, but it just seems very fast. Also, emotional moments don't seem to have much build-up. Now, I don't know if that's just because, we're in the day and age of something like TikTok or whatever, where people's, attention spans are far lower than they've probably ever been. Or I don't know if they just wanted to design this show this this way. But, you know, I grew up with stuff like Dragon Ball Z, and obviously there was a lot of build-up, probably too much if I tried to rewatch it again, you know, building up to crazy moments like the first time Goku turns Super Saiyan. Insane, but there was so much build up to that moment. Whereas in Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel like, you know, they'll introduce a move. There's one element of the show, there's one time of the show where a character teaches the main character a new move. I think he says something like, "Oh, you need to up your power." And then it cuts away to other characters, and by the time the main character is reintroduced, he already like has mastered that new ability. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not like watching a lot of other anime and keeping anime present in my mind, and maybe it moves faster than I remember, but it does feel like a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen kind of introduces really cool things, but very quickly it doesn't really build up to it. And also, yeah, a lot of emotional moments where they'll introduce a character and something tragic will happen to them in like the same episode. I'm like, well, I'm not really that invested because you didn't introduce this character like 2 or 3 episodes before and kind of build up to that. So it doesn't break the show for me, but it's definitely an element that I noticed. So I wanted to talk about the movie. Again, I believe it's called Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which as far as I understand has come out after season 2, but you're supposed to watch it before, or at least can watch it before watching season 2. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's watch the movie before we watch season 2, because at the time of this video, we have not watched season 2 yet. So yeah, they made a movie called Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which was like a prequel to Jujutsu Kaisen. And yeah, it was solid. You know, I'll be honest, I kind of expected a little bit more, again, given the hype of the show. Like, the show is so hyped up from what I've been hearing since it came out. And yeah, it was a really solid movie, but I just was kind of expecting a little more craziness, a little more over the top sort of elements to it, but it's kind of a new character, similar to Itadori's situation, where he's kind of thrust into the jiu-jitsu high school and has to learn stuff. And the same elements that I was talking about before, where it kind of feels like it's too fast, like he just is crazy powerful so fast. There's not a lot of build-up happens in the movie as well. But again, you know, it's not a deal breaker for me. It's just something that I noticed. But yeah, a solid movie. It set up by the way, no spoilers, please, in the comment section below about season 2, because there's some weird stuff with the main villain in the movie that is also very prevalent in the first season of the show, even though the movie is a prequel. And the way things play out, I'm like, wait, what's going on here? So yeah, I'm curious where that's gonna go. But overall, a solid movie. Just was expecting a little bit more. But once again, the animation was great. And, you know, all your favorite characters show up and do different new things. Or at least they build upon the things they will do in season 1. And yeah, I would recommend the film. Or the movie. Can you call it an anime, a film? I don't know. So yeah, that's my opinions on Jujutsu Kaisen. Overall, really built up momentum for my personal enjoyment. I think not as much for my girlfriend, but, you know, I think we'll both be interested in watching season 2. I did end up really liking it. I think the momentum was kind of slowly building up, and then it kind of dips a little bit near the end of season 1. But yeah, very excited for season 2, because apparently that's where it gets real good. So overall, I would definitely recommend this anime. I am not somebody that's typically into like battle shonen unless it's considered very good. Something like Demon Slayer, you know, just the animation and the characters are so fun to watch, and the freaking movie made me cry in theaters for Demon Slayer. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It was a very entertaining show to watch, and I am looking forward to season 2. So I wanted to ask you in the comment section below, please let me know your favorite Jujutsu Kaisen character, and if you want to go the extra mile, why. I would love to hear why as well. There's obviously a whole lot of different characters. If I had to choose like a main character, I think Fushiguro, because the episode where he shines, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting any of that, and it kind of really you know, opened my mind to like him being my favorite character. As far as like the side cast, crap, I don't even remember his name. I think his name is Toge, the guy that only speaks in rice ball ingredients.
Okaka.
because he basically has the power of the Thuum, like in Skyrim, and like, you know, he can use cursed words or whatever, cursed speech to do some terrible damage. So he only talks in like rice ball ingredients, not like hurt those around him. I definitely like that character a lot. Kind of set up a little bit like a gimmick, but really a very cool character. Kind of an example of, you know, more is said with less, or however you say that phrase. But let me know your favorite character in the comment section below, and if you would like to see more videos like this, definitely let me know as well. I'm just really, you know, passionate about talking about things that I'm passionate about. It's very fun for me. So I know this isn't our typical thing that we do on this channel, but I am definitely down to, like, if a thing comes out that I experience, or something in life, or movie, show, film, music, whatever. I mean, I'm definitely down to sit here and talk about it, because I really enjoy doing that. But yeah, if you would like to support this channel, you can do so on the Patreon. Link is in the description below. Get yourself a bunch of perks and support the channel at the same time. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
フォーメーション B 承知